Hi, everyone. I see you. Hi, Dee. Hi, Vexing. Come on in. We're going to listen to some of the Sasha Riley info. I found the audio clip. It's 4 hours long, so we're going to listen to just a bit of it. Just flat out, I will say this 100 times. Trigger warning to everybody. If this is a sensitive topic for you, please don't listen. Okay? If this is going to hurt or be said too much for you, please just don't listen, okay? It's pretty tough. Pretty tough. I believe him totally. I absolutely 100% believe him. And I'm surprised he didn't come out earlier, honestly. Okay, why is it my banner keeps clicking off here? Oh. Show timer off. Yeah. Okay, so just trigger warning, okay? Hope you're all doing good. Hope you're doing okay. I kind of felt crap today. Crap today. But I was going to sit and listen to this for the first time, and I thought, okay, well, I might as well share it with all of you too while I'm listening. Okay? So, where are we? Let's go.
I want to clarify in terms of date, July 18th, 2025. My full name, Lisa Noelle Voldeng. And Riley, do you want to state your name and any?
I'll pause every now and then.
William. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, one sec here. I need to change my setup here. Okay, so it looks like it's mostly audio, okay? Yeah, it's good he's talking about it. It's good he's getting it, talking about it. It's got to be talked about.
I didn't mean to interrupt. My name is William Sasha Riley. I was born Manuel Sasha Barros.
Okay.
But my legal name is William Sasha Riley at this time.
Okay. And I'm, just so we're clear, I'm based in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. I lived in the United States full time for a bunch of years. But
Victoria is kind of close to me. It's on Vancouver Island. I wonder how she did this. How did she do this? Did the guy reach out to her or what?
I was brought up in Canada. My citizenship's Canadian. And
we might be neighbors at some point because Canada is right now number 2 on the list of the countries that I am potentially going to move to.
You know, I think it's a good place to look. There's a lot of Americans, actually. I've spoken to Americans that I've told to come here. And there's lots of Americans that have come to visit more, and it's
under protected custody. Yeah, I hope so too.
Culture. So
I hope so too.
You know, it's quite lovely. I recommend. In terms of what my approach, really, what I wanted to do is to just really a thorough discussion. You tell me everything that you've been wanting to say, and
wow.
I'll ask some questions.
So just this one video here is 4 hours long. So if everybody's into this, then we will continue doing this until we're done. It's, again, trigger warning. This is going to be really tough, okay? If this bothers you, essay content, don't watch, please.
This might be one of however many discussions, and I'll record them. If it's 1, if it's 10. And what I'd like to do, I'm sort of recording with an eye to your testimony, getting your testimony.
Where is everybody?
Of what you experienced, what abuse you suffered, and what you were witness to. And I, in terms of being able to get into a format in terms of affidavits.
Those of us that have been through it,
getting help
we understand,
from the International Criminal Court. Because obviously what you and I have discussed already, there's
Which-
definitely a whole,
Honestly, a good portion of the population of the world has been through it. Like, that's the saddest part. Like 75% of the population has been through this. Or, SA at least.
whack of crimes that have been getting committed by a lot of folks, and is even a case where there could be crimes against humanity charges in regards to Trump.
Okay.
So,
Okay, also, before we go any further, this has nothing to do with politics or political choice, whatever your choice is in the States. I do not want to talk about Trump on here. That's not what this is about, okay? I really couldn't give a damn. I'm from Canada. I do not care. So please just don't bring it up in the chat. That's not what this is about. This has nothing to do with politics, okay?
and what else I'd like to do is I'd like to look at whether you would be okay with, me like transcribing and then publishing something. I publish newsletters selectively. I have a newsletter called
speed this
Outlaws
up.
of Chivalry. I publish once in a while. And I was looking at perhaps publishing there, if you're okay, in terms of how it could help us in terms of getting the
It will
right
speed.
legal support in terms of the International War Court.
I am for whatever puts a light on this, because in my mind, the powers that be are already aware of my position on it and aware that I have spoken up. And,
Yeah.
The more light that is shed on there, I don't think that I'm incurring more risk, except for some maybe lunatic that wants to be a soldier for Donald Trump, because they are a little crazy. They're a little brainwashed. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
see that,
I
I
don't mind
understand,
whatever would
yeah.
bring
exactly, vexing. That's what this is about. That's all.
a little bit more light to this, particularly this stuff. If we can get some of this stuff verified, and I know that me speaking up is one thing, but then the verification process,
Yeah.
Is important too. And I have read about software where, facial recognition software that taps into the banks of known.
Hi, I'm sorry. Hi, Susie. Come on in, hun. Trigger warning. This is a very touchy subject, okay?
Cataloged child pornography. So if the films that they had me make can be verified, it's not something that I can go online, but I am confident that it's there, because somebody that I served with in the Army got put out of the Army for child pornography, and my chain of command talked to me and they said, hey, some of these images, some of the films or whatever that he had look just like you. And that was the first time I think I had ever talked to anybody about having done those films. And I told them, yes, when I was a child, I had to do those things.
Yeah.
So
Let's talk a little bit more about that circumstance. Like, so you were in the Army. What years were you in the Army then?
This would have been my second time in.
Okay, so this is going to be really hard for me to, I can't censor any of this, okay? So just bear with me.
The Army. I rejoined in 2002, and I retired in 2016. I was in from 91 to 98 as well, so I did a little over 21 years. But the time frame that they pulled me into the office and discussed that would have been around 2008, 2009 time frame. It was obviously in garrison, so it was between deployments.
Yeah.
So around that time is when they talked to me, and I can just remember. I can remember telling them that I knew it was out there. There was nothing I could do about it, and thinking that there was really no way to go about, anything at that point. I didn't know what I could do about it, if anything.
Yeah. So it was from when our emails, it was one of the fellow soldiers that was caught with a bunch of child pornography, and then your commanding officer pulled you into the office to go through and said they'd seen you in the films.
I did not look at any of the films. All they said was, hey, we had to look at some of this stuff, and one of those people looks just like you. And that's the first time that I had, I think, ever really spoken about it.
That's
crazy. Said, yes, those are probably me, but I did not personally see them.
It's going to be soon. It's going to be soon, Nishi. I'm sure it will be soon. This is, I think this came out a week ago. It's been a week. Close to a week. So, yeah. Crazy. Yeah, so about a week.
He described something that I knew that I had been a part of.
Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit
Here's what it
more?
was.
Yeah.
They pulled me in,
Mhm.
I can remember
Me too.
First Sergeant Bayless was kind of red-faced, and he said, "Have you ever made a movie with a black girl?" And you know, that obviously was, I mean, I'm not a movie star, so obviously that's a very odd question, and I knew exactly what he was talking about when he said that.
Mhm.
So I said, yes. So he said, okay, well, we have found some images that are of a sexually explicit nature on another soldier's computer, I think.
Oh my God, it was him.
And I said, well, they are me. So he said, and you look underage. I think from that was part of their investigation to confirm that the images of the participants in these films were underage.
Mhm.
So,
Wow.
you know, that was just a secondary verification that, I was only 12 or 13 at the time of that film, maybe even 11. So, I mean, obviously I'm not an adult. And even when I was an adult at 18 or 19, I still looked young. So obviously at 11, 12, whatever I was in that film, I would not have looked like a mature, an adult, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it was more, I think, for...
That's unreal. He knew it was him. He knew it was him. Like, how many others are out there as adults now? They need to all come forward. If you're watching and you've gone through this in your childhood and you've not said anything, you must come forward. You must talk about it.
Confirmation that these images were of children. So I don't remember if he actually got court-martialed or if he just got UCMJ, which is just their lower grade of...
I've never heard any of this. I just started. We're 5 minutes in. Never listened to any of it. Yeah, I remember vexing. I had no idea what you were talking about. I thought you wanted me to do a reading on somebody that was missing. I didn't, I had no idea. Okay. All right. Thank you, Nishi.
But I do know that he was chaptered out of the military over it. I think he might have had to do a little jail time, but I don't recall. I can't even recall the soldier's name that got caught with it. I just knew he was an NCO, a staff sergeant.
And did anyone else ever talk to you about the films again? Did they ever talk? Did they ever infer that there was any further investigation in terms to when the films were produced? Did they ask you anything about who was involved, or did they?
Ultimately, what I pray from this is that this human gets a little bit of closure, a little bit of mental closure, a little bit of relief from the internal anguish they must be going through. And I also hope that this will bring forward others who desperately need help. They desperately need help. That's what I pray from this. I pray that good things come from this and that it helps people. And that this human gets to heal from their trauma. Hi, Kiwi Gal. Okay, serious trigger warning on this, okay? If you can't handle this, please just don't be here, okay?
No.
They didn't go into any legality other than the prosecution of the soldier with the images. So in the military, it's a little bit different than civilian. You know, I don't want to call it the court system because it's just the officers and NCOs in the military, but they have their, you know, sphere of influence. They have their little scope of operation, and if they uncover more, I think that they're required to give it to the civilian authorities, but they don't have any jurisdiction to go further than to just prosecute the soldier for the infraction that he is guilty of, if that makes sense the way I'm saying it.
No, I understand. Do they have any duty or is there any legality? Like, do they have legal requirements?
Thank you, Vexing.
To inform civilian prosecutors
in
such cases?
Yes.
Okay.
If they suspect or...
I was going to do a reading on it, like earlier today. I'd heard about what this was about. I was going to do a reading on it, but then I thought, well, what for? There's no reading to be done on it, you know? There's nothing. I'm getting the guy is telling the truth.
If there's additional work doing that is outside of their scope of being able to prosecute, and in this case, to hold the individual soldier accountable for having this material that he's not supposed to have.
Yeah.
They prosecute that portion of it. If it is beyond what they can prosecute, then they refer the soldier to civilian court systems. But in this case, the military did handle the prosecution of the soldier, and I think all he got was like 30 days and reduction in rank to E1. They kicked him out of the Army, gave him a less than honorable discharge. I don't think he even got a bad conduct for that, but I know that he was put out of the military, and I think he did the 30 days in jail. I think is the most that they can give you at the level that they prosecuted him at. So.
See, that doesn't surprise me. That's one thing. I know the military system very, very well. This soldier must have gotten, who knows where he got this from. But if he's overseas, he could have got it anywhere. And yeah, it's I don't even know how to say it. It's a whole different world in the Army. It's a whole different world. Nasty world. I'm so glad he has come forward and said something. The brainwashing, literally, that these soldiers go through during their training, in my opinion, it is literally brainwashing. Like, when you have a human being convinced that the only thing that loves them is their flag, that's a problem. Or the only thing that they can trust is their flag, literally. Yeah, that's a problem. It's still circulating. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. They better get, I hope it's not. Hi, Aggie. Hi, honey. Okay, so those watching and listening, this is serious trigger warning, okay? If it gets really bad, I'll try and skip just over a chunk, okay? If it gets really graphic, I'll try and just skip over it somehow.
I'm not saying that for sure on the jail time, but I do know for a fact he was put out of the military.
Okay. So they had films. They had some of those
Cable was
films.
his name.
Cable?
Yes, Hable. That was his last name. Habel. I think Staff Sergeant Hable. I just remembered it because I could picture his face and I just couldn't remember his name.
Hable. Okay. Habel.
Yes, I'm relatively certain on that name. I don't have the best memory. I was in a blast in Iraq, and one of the things that I struggle with mightily are names.
Yeah.
But I'm fairly sure that's his name.
Okay.
Name doesn't ring a bell to me.
And in terms of the films they had, so there was obviously a collection of pornography. Is there anyone you're?
If a name comes up in here that I recognize, I'm going to flip. Over 20 years, you get to learn some names when your spouse talks about it 24 hours of the day. So, yeah, hopefully I don't hear any names I know.
In contact with of those your commanding officers that would they talk to you? Would they provide evidence, or is it a situation where
Michael Bayless is the only one that I remember speaking to about it? I have not spoken to him since I left Fort Carson in 2011. I would think that he would probably remember something like that, just the unusualness of it. First sergeants deal with things day in and day out, but I would think that he would remember that just because of how it's not every day that you have to deal with something like that,
Yeah.
Let it play?
But
Okay.
It is possible. I think my commanding officer's name at that time was Captain Colasanto, but I'm not sure because you get commanding officer was Captain Colasanto, but I'm not sure because you get commanding officers come and go. The first sergeants, they tend to stick around longer, but commanding officers are a lot of times they're only there for a year or two and then they're off to the next thing. So my recollection of the commanding officer may not be accurate.
What's the spelling of his last name? Colasanto?
Cola, Colasanto.
Okay. St. Cola.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else?
How did
that would be
this
helpful
lady-
to talk about?
That's what I want to know. How did this lady get this interview in the first place? Like, how, if she's in Victoria, BC, like, how did she do it? How? If anybody knows the answers to that, I want to know. How did she do this?
Right now about then the time frame? That was the first time anyone had ever mentioned to you anything about the films other than when you were involved in filming? Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The first time that I can recall anybody that it ever coming up, I always knew that they were, that the films, at least one or two of them were out there. I don't even know.
Okay, and somebody wrote here in the text down here, I'm going to read this out loud just in case. I highly doubt I don't think there's ever any kids watching my channel. My channel is 18 plus, but if you're a minor still in school, you need to be especially cautious with this kind of content. Please be safe and hope you have a trustworthy adult in your life who can support you. Okay? And if you're under 18 or even under anything, under 21, I would say turn this off right now, please. Okay, just don't watch this. Go to bed. Thank you.
How many times I was filmed. But I can tell you that some of them are extraordinarily horrible. I can give you one instance where they were filming us. It was me and a girl that I knew that I had been trafficked with in other venues. And
You went to
while we were
her,
filming,
really? Wow.
They came in and shot her in the head.
That's
So killed her,
unreal.
obviously. So that would be...
Was that the runaway?
That was another girl,
Another
and I can't
girl.
even remember her name. Yeah.
And the other thing we need to do is pray that justice comes from this for all of it. I hope this opens a huge Pandora's box and serious things change and happen really quickly. Hi, Krista. Hi, hon. Let's just pray, okay? And I mean it. Pray.
The runaway was tortured to death in a duplex in Enterprise, Alabama. My parents did that, and that wasn't on film. Not her being tortured, but that was that black girl that I'm telling you about that later on Michael Bayless had talked to me about. But they went and got her because they were afraid that this was after the investigation in Tennessee, and they were afraid that they would go down for child pornography. So they were wanting to kill her, and then they were wanting to get rid of me via an accident, but they couldn't because they had already tried to kill me several times. They had the incident in Texas involving the Chevy van. There was another instance in Texas where my dad threw me into the middle of a pool and said, sink or swim. And somebody saw it and called the sheriff. So there was a police report on that. And then there was a third instance in Texas where my dad threw me down a flight of stairs. And that one fractured my skull. Now, there may have been other things that happened as well, but I remember those three were enough that they generated an investigation.
Yeah.
There were enough things that happened in Texas that my dad moved from Texas to Tennessee, and then got in trouble in Tennessee, and then got in trouble in Tennessee, and then moved to Alabama, got in trouble in Alabama, and then we just moved one more time.
And you're talking about your adoptive dad, William Kyle Riley, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have located my birth parents. My birth mother lives in Sierra Vista, and my birth father lives in Edmond, Oklahoma, but I have...
Sierra Vista, that's Arizona. Yeah, it needs to blow up. It really, really does. Yeah. It really, really does. It's interesting how he came out now. I'm totally glad he did. I've been actually diving into the Epstein files. Up until like 2 weeks ago, I knew nothing. I'd never even looked at it before. I had no clue what it was about, nothing. And oh my God. I looked at, there's a channel I follow called The Conspiracy Files on YouTube, and the guy is fantastic. And I was considering maybe going through all of it on my channel with you guys if you want. I think I would have to actually I want to contact him first though and get permission if it's okay to do fair use with his content. I would like to ask first. But if he's cool with it, then I would like to use his because he's done a fantastic job with it.
As yet, I have not reached out to either of them.
Mm-hmm.
I just, within the last year, probably 6 months, I learned where they live.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I don't know, that's just an odd dynamic for me, and I'm still kind of processing that. But as far as family goes, I have a half sister up in Massachusetts, and that's about it.
Okay. And your adopted dad, William Kyle Riley, worked as a pilot and was involved,
Yes,
integrated in
he
the
was
Epstein
involved in
Trump
all kinds of things.
Yeah, and he
Um,
worked a lot with Trump and Epstein, correct?
He
With the Epstein's
I know
pilot.
he was around Epstein and worked with Epstein, and I want to say that he flew for Epstein, and if not for Epstein directly, like transporting Epstein himself, he did transport some of the rich people to and from these parties that Epstein and company hosted. It wasn't just him; it was kind of a cabal of several people, and Epstein was
Epstein's pilot,
the lead coordinator, maybe you would call it. But it's much more than just him as an individual. You know, it was people like him, like Trump, other people. And I can't remember.
If you guys are into it, I'll ask the guy permission tomorrow.
He was handy to have around.
Go over all of it.
Part of the process, and he isn't just a like an airline pilot or something like that. He can fly anything. He can fly helicopters, fixed wing, smaller aircraft, larger aircraft. I mean, he's a.
I found the files. You can find the files there on the Department of Justice site. And if we can go through, we could do that also, go through all those files together. Holy cow, it's crazy. Though I want to go through all of this first, then go back and go over all of that with the understanding of what we're listening to right now. That makes sense? Like it'll give us a different outlook on what we're going to be looking at.
You know, he's that pilot, that kind of that multi-purpose guy that could transport whatever you needed.
Okay, so
yeah.
I don't know if he ever got into the drugs. I can remember.
I'm sure he's in hiding. I'm sure he is.
And he had refused to do a drug run, basically, and somebody else took that drug run, and they got busted.
Yeah.
So I don't know what kind of aircraft it was or whatever, and it was around Florida that guy got busted at. Maybe he flew down to the Virgin Islands or something like that. I can't remember the specific details, but I can remember the conversation that my dad had talking about, thank God I didn't take that. And because the guy got busted and he wound up, you know, huge amount of charges, 25 to life or whatever the heck he got. But I can remember from his perspective being nervous because the people that he was working with, he was scared that they were going to set him up to take the fall for something to just get rid of him because he had been involved in so much other criminality that he was really nervous about taking on anything else.
Wow.
I know that's kind of word salad the way that I said it, but I think you kind of understand what I'm saying.
I do. No, I understand. I understand perfectly. So your dad would obviously, you know, my understanding is you're
okay, so you guys be all right with that? You guys want to do that whole Epstein thing? Dive into it. It'll take us a couple months. Written segment on Substack, yeah. Contacted him questioning. Ah, I see. Interesting. Okay, thank you, Mishi. Look, I just actually got an account with Substack. Substack is supposed to, the rumor is this Substack is going to become huge like TikTok. Hi, Donna. Hi, honey. Yeah, you guys want to do it? Okay. Okay, we'll do it then. Okay. Might as well, right? I love this type of thing, so. Okay.
your dad was the kind of pilot that those sort of criminals would want to use because they could use him to fly anything in any situation, to airlift Trump out, like you said, when you almost killed Trump when Trump was assaulting you, or fly guests out, like you said, when you almost killed Trump when Trump was assaulting you, or fly airlift Trump out, like you said, when you almost killed Trump when Trump was assaulting you, or fly guests. He wasn't a pilot in that case?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. So, yeah, I've got, you know, I've spoken to folks that, you know, they look for those sorts of pilots. They want pilots that can
Yes, I think so, Kiwi. Yes.
Yes, traffickers into situations, in and out discreetly, trafficking victims in and out of situations discreetly, and victims that they killed out of situations discreetly, all sorts of nonsense. So seems like
and that's what he did.
I'm not 100% sure, but it sounds familiar.
I remember him not wanting to cross the bridge over to running drugs.
Yeah.
You know, because in his mind, if he got caught with some people, he could just play dumb. And I was just transporting this guy's kid to, you know, from here to there. I didn't know anything. So
did your dad?
Go ahead.
Did your dad transport the victims most often?
Oh, absolutely.
So more victims than guests. I don't want to call them guests.
I would say more guests than victims,
Okay.
but he definitely transported both.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. And that was either directly for Epstein, like wasn't transporting Epstein so much as Epstein's victims and Epstein's guests.
And the clients.
Okay,
Yes.
the clients.
Tribe of sloths. Yeah. I love it. It's something, your tribe of sloths. Okay. Sounds good. I love that. A tribe of sloths. And it's actually bears. It's not really sloths. It's bears. But yeah. A group of spirit bears is called a sloth. Okay.
Around Epstein. I can remember the one time that I can remember meeting both of them, and I can't even remember Jeffrey hardly at all, but I can remember the conversation in the car where they kept asking how to say Ghislaine's name because it was unusual, and during that meeting, my mom wanted to get the name right, for whatever. That was important to her,
Yeah. And what's your mom's name again?
Her name was Mary Lynn Riley. This would be
Mary
kind of
Lynn
my
Riley.
third mom because my dad adopted me with a lady named Irene Ursula Litsky was her maiden name. Her name is Peter now. But those two adopted me. He got divorced from Irene in 79 or 80 and almost immediately married Lynn. So Irene may have been involved in some of that, but that would be from a time frame that I don't have clear recollection of. I do have clear recollection of Mary Lynn Riley's involvement, but she died via suicide a number of years ago.
Okay. Now, what are you most comfortable to talk about next? I mean, well, let me ask some more questions in terms of now you told me about Trump and about Biggs and about Jordan. I feel like that's important to discuss in details. And let me ask you a question. Do you think it's more helpful for you to talk about what you remember first, when you were first trafficked, the circumstances, individuals involved, or do you want to talk about some of the incidents that we spoke about a bit by email already? What do you think is most helpful for you?
Fill in whatever gaps in that I can. I have spoken to you about most of what I remember clearly, but I can give you some of the details with those three, and that's why I am willing to talk about them. There's no
This is the Sasha Riley interview, Donna. Sasha Riley. I think I'm saying it right. It's just Sasha, right? So trigger warning again and again and again.
I remember more things, but I can't give you much in the way of detail for anybody other than those three. I can remember Jim Jordan. I went to a party. This was
You're welcome, babe.
There were 25 to 50 people there. I mean, it was a good amount of people, but not a massive crowd by any stretch. But the experience that my dad sold to those people was, if you could pin me, then you could do whatever you wanted. But my dad had taught me how to fight. He had been a bare knuckle brawler earlier in his life, and I know that he had worked kind of just beating people up for a little extra money at one point in his life. He also entered into the tough man contest, stuff like that. So it was kind of a game for them because I was just a child. So you would think that you could just do whatever you wanted. But if they got anywhere near me, I would hit them. And by the time that Jim Jordan assaulted me, I was old enough that those adults, most of them not being athletic in any way, these are people that, they're not fighters by any stretch. They couldn't get anywhere near me. And
Thank you,
Jim
Krista. Huge trigger warning.
Rushed me and tackled me, and I might have known how to fight, but I didn't know how to wrestle. So he assaulted me in front of a crowd, and I think that it was filmed, but I can't swear that it was filmed, but it was in front of those 25 or 50 people.
And how old were you?
That's why I remember. I was around 12.
12.
Wow.
And of those 25, 50 people, sorry, go ahead.
The reason that I remember Jim Jordan is, first, he stood out because he wasn't that much. He's only like 7 or 8 years older than me. So at the time frame that I'm at 12, he was right around just graduating high school, maybe first year or two of college.
Thank you for being here, everybody.
So him being...
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very, very welcome, Vexing. You're welcome, honey.
So much younger stood out. And
thank you for telling me about it.
Jawline. He has a very pronounced jawline. I remembered his voice, and his mannerisms haven't changed throughout his life either. So when I really started as soon as Trump went down that escalator and said he was running for president, I got involved in politics. I started watching it. I started watching who supported him and everything like that. And I remember Jim Jordan just from watching him on the floor of Congress, speaking to the different people that go up there and testify. So and that's him. I just remembered him. So
Yeah.
I know that's not a lot, but if you give me a polygraph, I'm going to take it because I'm 100% sure that it was him.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
Andy Biggs, I remember, because on the way to this, they took me to a house. This wasn't at a party. This was later after I had assaulted Trump. And it was kind of a punishment type of thing where he was going to get to assault me and I guess not pay my parents, and he got to do whatever he wanted. And I can remember telling me I wasn't allowed to fight back or they'd kill me. And
Sasha Riley telling the truth?
His name 50 times in the car. So Biggs I kept hearing Biggs, Andy Biggs. And I thought, I'm going to remember this name. And
that's yes.
after he assaulted me, I don't even remember the
Is he telling the truth regarding Trump?
Being like really nauseous, sick to my stomach. I was seeing spots, and I mean, the guy beat me until I had broken ribs and was convulsing, turning blue, and stuff like that. And the only part of that assault that I can remember is laying on the floor of the room trying to breathe, and I could hear Andy and my dad screaming back and forth at each other. And I can remember Andy Biggs saying, "You said I could do whatever I wanted," and my dad saying, "I didn't say you could fucking kill him." And I think they may have actually thrown blows over it, but there was a heated argument and everything going on for an extended period of time. And then I can remember being in the car, leaving, and just having my eyes closed because my head was spinning and everything, and I was just trying to breathe, just in and out,
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I remember him so clearly. I have
Wow.
had more than one encounter with Trump, and that's why I tried to kill that son of a bitch, because he is a fucking monster. It's why I have not shut up about just how absolutely abhorrent he is as a human being, and that's why I tried to kill him.
Yeah.
Because I had
Wow.
decided, I had already seen enough other people die that in my mind I thought, well, they're just going to kill me too at some point, right? I'm not going to survive to be an adult from this. So
That's crazy. That's crazy. Something better come from this, I'm telling you. Justice better come from this.
in my mind, he was the biggest pile of shit that I'd ever had to have any contact with, so I was going to take him with me. And
how often did Trump assault you? Do you remember?
I can remember two specifically. A third one that I think, and I think I was around him more than those 3 times, but only 3 times do I kind of remember. I can remember at one point him asking the people who were kind of running that party or whatever it was at that farm. He wanted to kill somebody. He wanted to murder somebody, and they said, "Hey, that's not this kind of party. You can't do that." And they, in lieu of doing that, they said, "Well, we've got some puppies. If you just want to kill something, we've got to get rid of them anyway." So I can remember him taking those puppies one by one, and like he snapped one of the puppies' necks. He cut one open and let it just howl and writhe in pain while it died. Held one under some water to kill it. He wanted to kill those puppies in whatever gruesome way, to experience, I guess, seeing them suffer in different ways. What his kink is, I guess, if you want to call it that, is watching people suffer. He likes to destroy people physically, mentally, during the process of the assault. That's why he stands out so much in my memory. And it's physical pain, and then it's also, degrading and all of that. But his thing was to just try to destroy human beings to the utmost that he could possibly do it, which is why I attacked him. Yeah,
that's understandable. So,
I can tell you this: the last one,
okay. I'm not going to get into politics on here. I swear I'm not going to. I'm not. All I'm going to say is I pray that this does some good all around the world. I pray that there is good from this. That's all I'm saying. That people heal and that criminals get put away and justice is served. And you know what? None of it surprises me. I am not surprised at all So big prayers to this person, this human. I pray that they are safe right now and that they get justice and that justice for a whole bunch of people come from this.
So this was after they had killed the Samantha. This is the black girl that I made
Hi, Doodle.
one of the movies with.
Yeah. And these
Hi, Tina
let me
girl.
just ask a question just to clarify. So when Samantha was killed, these were all of these parties at the farm or similar locations to the farm? Where there was
it was multiple farms.
multiple farms, and usually
yes.
it was parties. So there was individuals like Trump that were flown into the parties. And
yes.
then
and they would have like a building, you know, a house, and they would usually have like a tent set up, and you know, it was almost like a little, I don't want to say a fair. It wasn't that big. They didn't have rides or anything, but it was a kind of a coordinated deal, you know. Sometimes they would have the bare knuckle fighting. That probably is how my dad got involved with these people, because you know, you've got boxing and stuff like that on TV, but that's really all you had back in the 70s and 80s. The you know, more the MMA type of stuff wasn't allowed, and these fights were a little more gruesome. They didn't fight to the death or anything like that, but they were bloody, and you know, I mean, these were fights, you know, and not just boxing. And so the rich people would pay to see that. Sometimes they'd have like a you know, a band playing, you know, just like what you would expect at like a fair or something, you know.
So the rich folks would get flown in, associated with Epstein, and they would pay to watch the victims fight. The victims were all underage. And would they pay to then assault the victims after the fights or during the fights? And they paid to torture the victims and rape the victims and kill the victims.
But now some of the fights were adults. You know, so, you know, if they had some big old country boy and some other guy, they would pay to see that. They would also pay to watch the kids fight. And they did pay to watch me fight. I would fight other kids, and my dad was my initial trainer for me to learn how to fight. I would later was my initial trainer for me to learn how to fight. I was kids, and my dad was my initial trainer for me to learn how to fight other kids, and my dad.
There's an EVP right there. There's an EVP right there. It says 700 kids.
Was my initial trainer for me to learn how to fight other kids, and my dad was my initial trainer for me to learn how to fight other kids, and my dad was my initial trainer for me to learn how to fight. I would later go on to be a boxer, an amateur boxer, but that's how I got my start in all of that. So yes, they would.
Oh wait, it might be just background.
But that's how I got my start in all of that. So yes, they would have paid for that.
Maybe just background noise I'm hearing.
Each time there wasn't.
Hi, Patches. Welcome.
Really knew what was going to happen. So you know, part of it, a lot of it just comes down to money. You know, so if they offered
laughter, yeah, I think it's just background noise.
Then, you know, my dad was willing to do that.
I swear I heard 700 kids.
I don't
Sasha,
know,
that isn't sex. That's sexual assault.
Right.
I mean, I just want to say something first. I think you're extremely brave. You behave extremely strong, like a warrior. And I just want to stop and say it's important to me to say that, because a lot of folks, you know, wouldn't even survive such trauma, but you've survived, and you conduct yourself with dignity and gracefully, and it's important to me to say that. I hope you know that. You know, I hope you have a sense of your own honor and chivalrousness, especially what you told me in terms of drugs they used on you and how they lured you drug to behave monstrous towards other kids. You know, I understand.
Well, I can remember. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I can remember.
I'm holding my obsidian stone as we're listening to this, and I saged.
Some arm of law enforcement showing me video of me harming one of the people that they were filming me with. Now, I don't know how that came about, whether they drugged me and I lost my mind, or they told me to do it. I don't know the circumstances, but I can remember being in that room and them saying, well, you did this. And it may have not even been law enforcement. It may have been, you know, like the people that were running that. But I can remember being really upset because I had no recollection of having done that. It was me in the video, and I was beating somebody, a girl senseless. And I didn't kill her or anything like that, but I you know.
Yeah.
So, and I have a feeling, you know, this part I can't prove because I only have my own experiences. But what the whole thing seems to be is that they first abuse you, then they get you on film abusing others, and now they have you trapped as well.
Yeah.
So you can't talk about the abuse that they did to you. If they want you to be a legacy victim, somebody that they can use in the future, well, then they've got to get you on tape doing monstrous things to other people as well, because now they have the leverage to keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. No, and you know what? You're exactly right. That's exactly the tactic. And since the tactic is insidious because have you ever heard of the torture technique a lot of occult practitioners use? It's called inversion torture. Inversion magic isn't magic. Sorcery is just smoke and mirrors nonsense, deception techniques. But it's sort of inversion technique where to try to linguistically manipulate the victims, to try to get the victims in a position where the victims doubt whether the victims, are good or not.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the case with a lot of the Republicans you mentioned. Like you said, Clarence Thomas and Lindsey Graham were at these parties. You can't remember if Lindsey Graham and Clarence Thomas participated. And it's sort of a question of, did they participate? Were they blackmailed because they were there, attended the parties, but they didn't participate? Can you tell me much more about Clarence Thomas and Lindsey Graham?
I know the least about him. The only reason that I can remember him is because he was a black man. And I'm sorry, but that club is pretty much just white folks. So having a black person there was very unusual. So he stood out. But the only thing that I can really say is that I remembered him being there, and then I remember what a big deal it was in our household when he got confirmed onto the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Because my dad was excited about that because of how high up he was. Now, I can't swear. I may have been assaulted by Clarence Thomas, but I cannot swear to that. If he did assault me, then it was not to the level of something that scared me to the point where I needed to remember it, if that's a good way to put it. Trump rose to that, and Andy Biggs rose to that, and Jim Jordan rose to that because he was dangerous to me, because I could keep most people away from me with my fists. But, he was a good wrestler. So, he scared me in that sense that this is a person that I can't, that I can't keep away from me with my fists.
You can't fight off. Yeah.
Lindsey Graham, I am fairly sure he has assaulted me, but I just can't put my hand on a Bible and swear to that.
Yeah.
It's crazy, eh?
I can remember it. He just like
so crazy.
Very distinct mannerisms, and his voice is a little unusual as well. So I could remember his voice, I could remember his mannerisms, and then obviously how he looks. So I can put him there, but I can't say he did this or he did that exactly. I just can't.
Okay. So
I wish that I could provide more information on that, because I think some things went on, but that's just not enough for me to point a finger and make an accusation. But he was there. I can tell you that.
Yeah, well, that's enough. And I know that, some sorts of interviews we can look at a different time to see if there is any more information you remember. But what you do remember, I just want you to know what you remember to know.
Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for listening with me. Hit the thumbs up button for me as you're just sitting there listening. Again, trigger warning, if any of this is too sensitive for you, from my understanding, it's going to get worse. Please just click off now, okay?
What you remember is extremely important and is extremely helpful. I know you want to be able to remember more, and the memories are in there. And, I just want to approach the situation delicately because,
some of the other memories are just vague. I can, and I have been very careful too not to.
Okay, I just thought of something. I'm going to stop screen sharing for 2 seconds. We're going to go through some of the Epstein photos while we're listening to this. I think I could do that. Let me just give it a try. Epstein files. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, here. Disclaimer, blah, blah, blah. Okay, 2 seconds. I can't remember where I got them. It wasn't on the FBI. Oh, here we are. Evidence list. Oh my God. Okay. Copy of Bondi's letter. Okay. Okay. Epstein. Flight log. Masseuse's list. Oh my God. Okay. Where did I find the photos? We might have to do this part another day. It takes a little while to find them. Little while to find them. Epstein. Photos. Wow, this guy's a freak. Give me a sec here. Okay. Okay, so let's do screen share. We'll do all of it. And let me know if you guys can hear the thing we're listening to. Hi, Carrie. Let me know if you can hear it.
To reach out further, because there are some other
You can
names
hear it, right?
I could mention that I believe were there, that I know for a fact that my parents talked about, but I don't have a clear enough recollection of anything. Like, I can tell you 100% sure that they talked about Vladimir Putin, but I do not believe he was ever at one of those parties that I was at. But his name was brought up more than once.
During the
And
1980s?
Yes.
Okay.
You can hear it? Okay, good.
Putin,
Okay,
I don't
good.
know even when he ascended to the presidency.
Hi, Carrie.
I remember the name because it was so unusual. Now, at that point, he may have just been, one of the Russian oligarchs or whatever, but his name came up, and I remember just because it's an unusual name, Vladimir Putin, but I don't believe he was ever there. So that is like, I don't know, there are other names like that too.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about
I
Putin.
remember Clinton's name being brought up, but I don't ever remember seeing it.
So Clinton was mentioned, but you never saw Clinton.
Not that I can recall. And that's another thing too. I may have had interactions with additional people, but during some of them, I was so drugged out of my mind, I don't really remember what happened.
Yeah. When you heard them talk about
Mick Jagger.
Putin, so it was at one of the parties at one of the farms. Do you remember what they were saying about Putin?
Just that he was some sort of foreigner that was very important. Now,
The girl beside Clinton is familiar too.
And they mentioned his name. They kind of had fun saying his name. Vladimir. Does he like to go by Vlad or this or that? But the meeting with that person, I don't think ever materialized. I think it was just something that was discussed and never happened. Now, if he has other connections, and he very well may, that's possible. But I can just
That's
remember
crazy. So this is in his front foyer. Like, you come through his front door, and this is on the wall in the front, right at his front door.
That's all I could say. I couldn't
That's the craziest shit.
This person was from Spain or this person was from Portugal. I have no idea.
In his Manhattan
what I do know
house.
for a fact is not every person at those parties was American.
Yeah.
I know that's not a lot, but I
Look at that.
I only remember what I
have a question. With
Diana
Trump,
Ross,
with
Michael
Putin,
Jackson.
Did you get the sense that the party attendees, that the clients were interested in Putin? There was something they wanted from Putin. They thought they could get money from Putin, influence from Putin. Did you have any sense of that?
The only sense that I had was that this was for the rich people, regardless of where they were from. So at this point in my child brain, I knew that there were rich people, and those people got to do whatever they wanted, and then there were poor people like me
and Prince Andrew.
That was the dynamic.
Wow.
So that's it. I never heard them say anything about blackmailing and stuff like that, but I can remember them showing me a video of me doing bad stuff, and then I can remember people telling me that if I ever talked about it, what I had done was illegal too. And a lot of that was just bullshit because I was just a kid and they were making me do this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Talk about malevolent hypocrisy. Dude, they were just utterly grotesque. They were trafficking you, they were assaulting you, they were drugging you, and then they were
Look
trying
at that.
They were trying to make me feel guilty about any of it
torture
happening.
you. Exactly. When you were in a situation because they were trafficking you.
Michael Jackson.
The last encounter with Trump, the one where I injured him, was the one that I remember the most vividly. And this is
Co-founder of Google, Sergey Brin.
My dad, before we went to the farm, this was when we lived in Enterprise, Alabama.
Yeah.
So it would have been about 81 to 82, somewhere in there, maybe as late as 83. But he said there may be somebody that you know there. And I can remember the look on his face, and it scared the shit out of him. But anyway, when I got to the farm, of course, I'm scared at the farm because I don't know what's going to happen. But the first person that comes up to me is a girl named Patricia. This is a girl that I had been trafficked with before. And she came running up to me and, said hello or whatever. She was about my same age, around 12 or 13. And I can remember my dad saying, well, why don't you guys go run off or whatever and have fun? And I can remember not knowing what to do in that instance because, these parties weren't for me. I wasn't. And then he said something to the effect of,
Sarah Ferguson.
It's not like that for you anymore. You're a man now. You can just go out and have fun. Well, we went to go have sex. So we went and found a room and started having sex. And while we were having sex, people burst into the room. It would have been 4, 5, 6 guys, big guys, adults. At least one of them had a gun. I think 2 or 3 of them had guns. But they came in, they assaulted her, they beat
Richard
her,
Branson.
and then they shot her while she was still in the bed. They didn't beat or assault me, but what they said was, if you don't do everything that the next person coming in here wants,
Bill Gates.
we're going to shoot you just like we did her. And I can remember them having like an argument because they shot her in the bed and then they had to go find another mattress. Well, that's when Trump came in. So that's why I remember him so vividly. And it was at that point I had already decided they're probably just going to kill me anyway. I'm going to take him with me. And I tried, but I did not.
How did you? So obviously Trump was extremely violent. Trump's
Yes.
a sadistic psychopath. When Trump assaulted you, so sexual assault and physical assault?
Yes. So
And
at one point, I kind of acquiesced to whatever sexual things that he wanted to do. But at some point, he wanted me to have sex with him.
Trigger warning, please. Trigger warning. If this bothers you, please leave. This is very, very, very hard things to listen to. If this bothers you, please leave, okay? And this is not about politics, okay? So we're not here to talk about Trump or anything like that. This is just to hear what this man is saying he's gone through, okay?
So he lay down on his stomach, and there was a wooden tent stake that was in the room, and I had been eyeballing it as a weapon. And what I did was put the condom on the wooden tent stake.
Yeah, worse than Diddy, for sure, Krista.
And I kicked it as hard as I could, and that's why he had to get life flighted out, because I ripped him open.
Do you ever watch the movie The Equalizer?
No, I haven't seen it.
Denzel Washington, sort of like Justice, when everyone involved in American law enforcement.
But honestly, now that you mentioned Diddy, right? It all makes sense, doesn't it? Like, it's the same level of stuff, right? That Diddy was doing. Maybe Diddy was part of this. Like, who knows, right? In my opinion, and all those disclaimers. Just my opinion.
Any justice. That would be a sort of situation, obviously. I laughed because there's poetic justice there. Sasha.
Well, that was what facilitated. Not only did I get really assaulted by Andy Biggs, I also got assaulted by like an entire party for the people. So they took
after Trump was there, lifted out.
Yeah, a whole nother party. So they took me to another party after that, and because I had done that to one of those rich people, they took me from just like station to station, and they could do whatever they wanted. Most of them just beat on me. I can remember me standing there and already got beat up, I don't know, 5, 6 times. And I can remember somebody urinated on me, and I said, "Thank you for not hurting me." And he just hauled off and punched me in the side of the head and knocked me out. I can remember leaving that party, and my dad was just kind of dragging me out of there. it was another instance, just like with Andy Biggs, where I got beaten to the point where, I was the room was spinning. I was nauseous, probably throwing up, maybe some broken bones, badly.
And how many perpetrators did you say again? 20 to 40, 25 to 40 perpetrators?
People that were there, yes. I would say probably 8 or 10 that just beat the absolute hell out of me. And some of them probably sexually assaulted me, but I can't remember. I can remember getting hurt, just getting beaten up and,
Was that before you tried to defend yourself from Trump or after? Do you remember?
That was after. That was
After.
as a punishment, if you want to call it that. What happened at that party was part of the punishment, and then I can remember them saying that this is the last of it when I had to go see Andy Biggs, but Andy Biggs almost fucking killed me. So I remember him to this day.
So when Andy Biggs
Andy
almost killed you, was after
Who
Trump
is
as well?
that?
Yes.
Okay.
After Andy Biggs was after Trump. The party that a whole bunch of people assaulted me was after that, and then the last one was
Andy Biggs.
And then I can remember my dad saying no more.
Oh my
I
gosh.
can remember him even kind of breaking down a little bit, like psychologically, because I guess the repeated watching me just get destroyed by people. You got to understand, it's not like boo-boos and band-aids. They were breaking ribs and really,
Wow.
I've got like a deformed rib cage to this day.
No, sounds like they were trying to torture you just to the point of death, to punish you
They
and to send a message.
They tried over and over again.
Yep.
To hint.
Everybody will have a different opinion
I
of
can
this,
remember
and
thinking, there's no way I'm going to kill myself.
that's fine.
what
You're
they
all
want.
welcome to your opinions.
I find some of that just out of spite.
Okay, where did I find all
There's
this
really no
stuff?
other way to put it, but I wasn't going to. I can remember hating my mom so much that I just did not want to give her the satisfaction.
Yeah.
She, as bad as my dad was, Marilyn Riley was even more evil. Her thing was sexually torturing me. So and she enjoyed sexually torturing Samantha when they went and got her.
And Samantha was the runaway that Riley,
Yes, the
that
runaway that
William and
she lived in a brothel, basically a house where they had 4 or 5 underage girls that they had scooped up from wherever they got them from, and they would use those girls at these parties. Well, at one time they sent me to go be a part of that brothel. So that's when I made friends with Samantha, Patricia, and Sarah, and those are the only 3 that I can remember their names. But Sarah committed suicide. Samantha was tortured to death, and Patricia was the girl that got shot in the bed before Trump came in.
did Patricia die?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Samantha, Patricia, and Sarah, and all 3 died.
Yes. Yes.
So Samantha was a runaway that was murdered by your adoptive parents.
Yes.
Patricia committed suicide.
Okay.
Sarah committed suicide.
I don't remember
and
where I
Patricia
found
was
this.
murdered in the bed before Trump came in, and then they threatened
Yes.
you and
on the
said to
farm.
let Trump do whatever Trump wanted to do to you, or they would shoot you in the head as well.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And I can remember them pointing the gun at me and saying, "We're going to kill you." And my dad protesting because he said, "If you shoot him, we're all going to go to jail." And he was really, I can remember him being distraught. Now he's a kind of a tough guy and, all of that sort of stuff. So that's what stood out to me was he was really scared because he knew that if they just shot me, that's not something he could explain to anybody. And he had gotten into so much trouble with trying to get rid of me already with, there's the Chevy van incident, there's the pool incident, and then there's the stairs incident, and all of those generated a police report. In addition to that, we went down to Panama City, Florida, to the beach, either Panama City or Destin, and they took me to a riptide area. I didn't know.
I want pictures. I don't want files. Where the hell did I find
But
this?
within like 100 yards, 150 yards, there's the regular beach where people were at. You know how they have the riptide zones? They don't want you out there, right, for obvious reasons. Well, they took me to one of these zones and had me, say, hey, come out here and play in the water and this and that. And for the first few minutes, it's just the 3 of us playing in the water, and I'm just a kid. The beach is awesome. So at any rate, they go back in. I'm out there playing. Eventually, that current gets me, and I don't know how to swim at this point in my life. So it pulls me out 100 feet maybe, and I'm bouncing up and down off the sandbar, just screaming my head off. Well, somebody that was on the regular beach, not in the riptide area, heard the screaming and came running from like 150 yards away, and right by my parents who were standing there. And he goes out there and gets me, fishes me out. By the time he comes back, he's nearly exhausted. And I can remember him and my dad nearly fighting. And at this point, there are other people that are coming in. That's scary.
Anyways, we'll start covering this on my channel. I'll find it. The stuff I was looking at the other day, it was actually, some of it was redacted, but there was a lot there that wasn't. Like, I'm like, did they miss these or what? So I'll find them and we'll go over them. Say starting Monday.
the shit out of my dad, but there was another police report with that. And I know that that police report followed us back up into Alabama because the sheriff came down there and talked to my dad in Alabama. So there was another investigation for sure. So all of those things had already happened. And my dad was terrified that if something happened to me, especially so close to all of these other things, that all of these other investigations,
Here we go.
pretty much knew he was going to go to jail over it.
So there was at least
Here we go. Okay, so this is videos of his house. Okay.
There was police reports. How many police reports? About 3 or 4. And then
that are just involved in trying to get rid of me. And then there were, in addition to those 4, there were 2 investigations, one for the porn, and then when we lived in the duplex and they were torturing that girl to death, Samantha, our duplex neighbors there in Enterprise, Alabama, they called the police because they could hear, screams and beatings and stuff like that. And when they investigated, I can remember my dad saying, hey, he talking about me is just, I got in trouble and got a whipping or something. And they did an investigation. They collected blood samples and everything from the house, but the problem was they couldn't determine how long that blood had been there, I guess. And it wasn't a match to anybody in the house. So
not sure which house this is.
Reason, they just didn't have enough. And
I think this is.
They were allowed to talk to me. I think my dad would have had to give them permission for the investigators to interrogate me. So I don't
his island one, I think. Jeffrey Epstein Island, I think.
In that instance, or in the instance up in Tennessee.
Did you provide any testimony to the police in any of those 5 cases? Well, the one case with the military, with the child pornography.
Yeah, this is his island, I think.
I can remember the sheriff talking to me at the beach in Panama City, and I don't remember what all was said, but I can remember my dad tried to get out of there, and the guy that went and fished me out. My dad's a pretty big guy, and he can fight, but the guy that went and got me was he was a tank. So it wasn't something that he wanted to really get into a fight about over there. And people started coming in. So my parents, I can remember them trying to hug me and stuff. Oh my God, thank God. I can remember the guy that fished me out. They said, "There's no goddamn way." I heard that from 150 yards away, and you're standing there watching him.
Yeah, I agree, Diva.
And, they tried to play it off like, well, we just thought he was playing, swimming and stuff like that. And I can remember the sheriff asking, do you know how to swim? And I said, no, sir. And they were like, okay, this fucking sucks. There's no way that this is legitimate. And I can remember the sheriff in Alabama talking to my dad saying, there better not be anything that happens to him. He said, because I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, you're going to go to jail. I don't care. He said, I'll make sure of it.
So they had a sense, but they didn't know, they didn't have enough of what they thought of as evidence.
They didn't have enough. Exactly right.
And that was the case with Samantha as well?
Yes.
And your dad wouldn't let them talk to you?
I just heard EVPs in that video. So the video of his house. So we might end up doing this for a long, long time. Wow, it's crazy. I'm not sure. It says on YouTube 2 days ago. So it's fairly recent. I think this has been out for a week or so. And the video we're watching is just the files that have been uploaded onto the Department of Justice website that they've released. So we're just watching Epstein's house while we're listening to this guy's story be told, okay? This is like the children's section of this one place. Everything's pink. Oof. I can feel it. I can feel the trauma watching this. Crazy. Yeah, exactly, Krista. I agree. Can you imagine being in the military and being asked? Yeah, I can't. I can't even imagine vexing. Yeah. They're asking about it, and then he finds out it's actually him. That's nuts. I'm sure there's hundreds and hundreds of people out there that same thing. They don't remember what happened to them, and then all of a sudden it's like, that's me. You know? Because we all know back in the day, this was quite common, to be honest. I mean, not to this extreme, but you know what I'm saying. It was never talked about. The older generation, it was never talked about. They would take it to their grave with them. They would never talk about what happened to them. And that's true, Krista. It really wasn't. It really wasn't that long ago. Okay, so we'll do a deep dive into all of this then. If you guys want to do it, I would love to do it. I spent hours watching this the other day. They refuse to talk about it. Yeah. Yep, that's understandable. Some of us don't even realize it was... I'm going to just say something quickly here. Some of us...
Dad wouldn't let the police officers talk to you.
Oops.
So
Right.
Some of us don't remember what happened when we were children. And then all of a sudden, you remember 30 years later, and you have a nervous breakdown because of it. All of a sudden, it just comes flying back. That little door in the back of the brain is opened, and all of a sudden, it's in your face. Yeah, so many people have that. So, yeah. Yeah, it's a big deal, Diva, I know.
That also seems weird.
He did. Huh?
It seems weird. I mean, I know in Canada is a bit different, like in terms of, you know, there would have been folks from Child Protection Services there, and they would have gotten you away from your adoptive fathers to talk to you. You wouldn't have gone through that sort of horror in Canada. I'm really sad that that occurred.
At one point,
that's not true.
So I got into the foster care system, and ultimately, I'm just gonna. I was ungovernable.
The foster system at
that point in my life, if you said something to me,
I disagree with what she said there. I'm from Canada too. The foster system here in Canada is almost identical to the foster system in the States. There really is no difference. It's almost exactly the same.
You know, I didn't necessarily. I didn't care who you were. I wasn't necessarily going to do that, and I might just hit you. You know, because that was just my response to life at that point. So eventually I made my way right back to that house. So I can tell you that throughout the process
okay, you guys want to do that. All right, we'll do it then.
Was one of the people that worked with me. So I know that she is still alive. I think she's still alive. I think she's 91 now.
Yeah.
And
Jane Goodall.
Having worked with me, because I would have been one of the strangest cases she ever had. Because around that time frame, I had made the decision that I would no longer let anybody get within arm's reach of me, and if they did, I'd fight for my life. So, you know, people had to stay away from me. I could talk. I mean, I wasn't like a feral animal, but I just would not allow people within my personal space anymore. And because of her work, you know, with apes and everything, with gorillas, you know,
Jane Goodall was fantastic. I love all the work that she did. She is just amazing.
And did you talk to Jane Goodall at all about what you'd experienced getting trafficked? I know when you and I spoke by email messenger, you said it was from during about 1978 to 1986 is what you remembered, 9 to 13.
I agree, Diva.
But you're not sure. It could have been as early as 6 or 7 years old.
Right. I don't really start remembering what was going on until about before that. I can remember being sexually assaulted by family. That's some of my very first memories. So
Always family.
But as far as taking me to other places,
Friends
at
and
these parties
family.
and whatnot, I know that sort of thing was happening, but I just don't have a good enough recollection to really piece together much of a story.
So whether you were 6 or 7 years old or 10 or 11 years old with the parties? When you were
Right.
okay.
I know family was assaulting me, and then friends of family were assaulting me as early as 6 or 7. I know that. Some of my very first memories are of being assaulted. But as far as taking me to places to make money at these parties, I don't have a clear recollection. It may have happened as early as the first sexual assaults that were happening with family. But I don't have a clear recollection if that was going on to that scale at that time, but do have a recollection from about 10 or 11.
Okay. So
Wow.
how much? No, it's okay. I'm glad you're you and I are able to have such a thorough discussion, and I appreciate again how straightforward and forthright you are. It's extremely important.
Yep.
Yeah,
this is on his island, I think. This is his Epstein Island.
I really thought about, okay, what do I recall vividly enough that I would put my hand on the Bible in the courtroom, raise my hand, and say, yep, that's the truth. And what I am as close to 100% certain that if you put me on a polygraph, it would come back just as perfect.
Yeah.
So there are other things that I could maybe point fingers at, but then it kind of gets into muddying the water because I don't really remember them that well.
Well,
So
I think
that's why I just stuck.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think what I'd like to do, like, we'll continue discussing a bit about what we're talking about now. The things that you're less sure of, I'd like to look at a second a conversation just entirely focused on what you're not sure of, just because I think there is some important information there, but I don't want to muddy the waters in terms of what we're speaking about now that you are willing to testify in a court of law about.
For sure,
so let's
Carrie. Yep.
continue focusing about any of the details
absolutely.
about what you're willing to swear to in a court of law.
Blocked a lot of stuff.
And then, then let's look at.
Most of us have that.
Say a second discussion and any follow-on questions from this discussion. Or
Trigger
I might
warning.
just look at getting everything transcribed, and I'm just going to look at
Trigger
it raw, 'cause
warning.
honestly, in terms of there's obviously thousands and thousands of pieces of video footage filmed that the FBI took. That's all gone into some. Whoever's been trying to profit off of is nonsense. So what I'm looking at, I'm thinking even a combination, like just a brief summary from me, like a paragraph, and I'll even look at just publishing the raw audio file of our discussion with the text messages, because I think the context is really important. I think, especially because there's been so much collusion regarding copy editing of video footage that, folks that are really that are genuinely.
This is unedited, you guys.
For them to
Sorry
just
about
hear
that.
the audio recordings and read the text messages is plain as day. Anybody that experiences an ounce of integrity.
This is from the
will be able to discern
Department
the truth.
of Justice
I think it's so
website.
important.
And I kind of wanted to discuss one other thing too. One kind of theme at these parties that seem to be very very well thought out is they would have.
Look at that full facial equipment there.
In these larger parties, you might have, say, a couple of fights or some drug use or things that were kind of would say mildly illegal. But the parties would go on for multiple days, and as the thing wound down to the smaller inner circle in the last day or last 2 days.
Not medically needed. Right, yeah. Yep.
So
Exactly.
some of the people that attended the party, possibly even people like Clarence Thomas or Lindsey Graham, may have been involved in lesser things, but then were also at the same time and place.
It shows you how sick,
but they didn't necessarily
how sick he
participate
is.
in those more horrible things. So that seemed to be an underlying theme of, and this is just me speculating here as an adult, where they would try to get these affluent people in all of these positions of power and influence to come participate in these parties where all of these things were going on, so that, if Clarence Thomas, I'll just use him, if he was there at the party, well, then surely nothing, that nefarious could be going on type of situations.
Yeah.
So it seemed to be very well thought out how they kind of did things. But as the party wound down, that's when people in my position would really begin to get scared, because that's when either you're going to get assaulted, maybe really busted up, or, even watching somebody die is really fucking horrible,
Did you see anyone else die besides Samantha and Patricia?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Wow.
I watched a grown man.
Okay, my question is, who is Samantha and Patricia? Who are they?
had done something that pissed off the people that were running it, and they killed him. I saw another girl, in addition to Patricia, when I was making the film with the girl, came in and shot her while we were having sex. That was some sort of snuff film.
Yeah.
And then in the brothel, there were two people.
Oh, it's girls he knew. Oh, I see. Okay.
And then a girl, I don't remember her name. She was shot and killed. And then another girl was also shot and killed.
Okay. And all of these. No, go ahead.
Me and Samantha having to clean up. We didn't have to do anything with the body, but I can remember me and Samantha had to clean up the blood and everything from both Sarah's suicide, which was an assisted suicide. Samantha actually shot Sarah, but Sarah wanted her to do it. She just couldn't pull the trigger herself. So Samantha did it. I was in the room when she did it. But it wasn't a murder. Samantha didn't murder her. Sarah I can remember her just saying, I can't go to another party. I can't be here. Please,
Another of the victims, I don't know if you've read about the British woman, Sarah Ransom, was on the Epstein Island and tried to swim off the island and was willing to drown, then go through another.
Yeah, I mean, it's some horrible, horrible shit.
Yeah.
And, I can remember the hillbillies that my dad sold me to when I was small, they were mean. But I can remember the meanest motherfuckers are those rich people. They are just demonic, Trump included.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask you some questions there again. So with the rich folks that you were sold to, that was all associated with the Epstein Trump trafficking ring. And you said to me you thought Trump ran things with Epstein. Is that true?
Oh, yes. He was not just a client. He was one of the people that facilitated all that stuff. It was almost like, this is just my childhood brain piecing it together. It was almost as if Epstein worked for Trump. And not just Trump, but him and maybe 6 or 8 other super rich guys. So
do you remember
Epstein ran it at the behest of Trump.
I really hope that this guy, they're able to do full whatever they need to do with this guy. Like, I hope he's telling the truth and that something comes from this, justice for all of these people, not just him, but everybody affected.
Trump and that circle of people. So it was just I couldn't tell you how many people, but he was the only one that I remember that was at that level. But it wasn't that Trump was a John visiting, Epstein's empire of child victims. It was Trump was in a position above Epstein.
Wow.
It was as if Epstein worked for Trump.
Yeah.
And the rest of those.
Wow, Nishi.
Do you remember?
It's like he ran that ring for them.
No, I understand. So Jeffrey.
I don't know when
presented
she's due to get out of jail. I don't know
of the pedophile ring, but Jeffrey was basically behaving like a general manager of the ring.
I can't remember her name. It's an unusual name.
That were actually actively running the ring, micromanaging, telling Jeffrey what to do.
It starts with a G.
Epstein. That caliber of person, because it wasn't just Epstein. Epstein had people that worked with him too on a lower level.
Hi, Francis. Hi, honey.
Runaways and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they got the people. I can't say that, but it was this whole thing was being run as for those rich people.
Yeah. I want to ask some more questions in terms of your sense of like the demonic. Some of the advisor work I've done, some of my
the video that's it.
Law enforcement.
Ghislaine, thank you.
I've come into contact.
Ghislaine Maxwell, thank you. Gizdel.
A lot of really horrific
however you say it. Ghislaine.
Satanists.
Okay, this is buffering a little bit here.
I've spoken to folks that were able to get out of the theistic Satanist cults. A lot of the torture techniques you describe are similar to theistic Satanist torture techniques. Sexual torture, human trafficking, human cannibalism, and what I wanted, what's your sense in terms of these parties that what do you remember? Like, was there any overt, I know a lot of the attendees presented themselves as Christians, but their practices are full-blown demonic satanic. Do you have the sense that any of them were actually secretly practicing any sort of occult rituals, or were they just like rich, fiendish, fake Christians that just didn't experience a conscience?
I think it's the latter, just rich, fake Christians. I can tell you one thing specifically that Trump did, and that I remember vividly. I was exhausted. I couldn't fight back, and he sat on my chest And
Ghislaine. Okay, Ghislaine.
And each time
Okay,
he did,
thank
he'd
you.
say, "I'm going to kill you." So, and then he would choke me until I was
Ghislaine.
out. And he did that, half a dozen times or however many times. And I can remember him saying, "I thought I killed you that time. I'm really going to do it this time," and then choke me again. So he would just do that over and over again until he got bored of it. So
did you get the sense that he was trying to kill you, or just to torture you about the thought?
Well, in the moment, you think you're going to die.
Yeah.
And that's the experience that he wants to see the fear in another human being's eyes that thinks that he's killing.
See, that doesn't surprise me.
But looking back,
And now
I
we're
think he was just torturing me. I don't think
just look at what's happening in the news right now.
Kept choking me until I was gone.
He's scaring the entire world
I
right now.
choked until I was unconscious. I don't know, as many as half a dozen times, maybe more.
Yeah.
So that's the type of thing that he would do, or worse. I believe, I wouldn't swear to this, but I believe that on that instance, my dad had told him, "Hey, you can't bust him up, you can't break stuff," because all his CPS bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's.
So, and I want to say he was upset at the end of that too because of the bruising. They didn't break bones or anything, but obviously I had bruising around my neck and different bruises on my body, and
Where did I find that?
that's something else too that I'm just remembering right now as I'm talking to you. At least
Walk
one instance,
through. Here we
the
are.
school nurse got CPS involved, I believe.
Yeah.
In
Okay, we
both
just did that
Tennessee
one.
and Alabama because of the bruises that I showed up to school with.
Yeah.
Of course, my parents just said, "Hey, he's clumsy. He fell out of a treehouse," or whatever excuse they gave.
I think this is Epstein Island also. Pretty sure it is.
But obviously nothing materialized.
Yeah, it is.
So, let me see. Can I call you back in about 10 minutes?
Sure, absolutely.
I just want to make sure I've got the recording set. I want to get into a file folder and get some duplicates.
It's
and then I'll call you back,
buffering.
okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Talk to you in a minute. Bye-bye.
Must be a lot of people watching it right now.
To kind of recap what we were just talking about, one of the first memories, or one of the first memories that seared itself into my consciousness because of being what I perceived as a threat as a child, was watching Donald Trump kill a litter of puppies. He did it in a variety of ways. As I stood there, they made me stand there, and he would harm or kill the puppy and then look to see what my reaction was. And in my child's brain, that registered because I viewed him as somebody more dangerous than my parents, and I knew that they would hurt me. So in my
2021 got 20 years. Wow. Okay. Thank you, Kiwi.
People than my parents, that they were somebody that might kill
2:20 a.m. here, already in bed. Good night, Krista. Sweet dreams, son.
That's why I most of the stuff I just tried to forget. But with him, with Andy, and with Jim, I remembered them because the truth is they scared me.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to summarize a bit about what we had discussed that wasn't recorded. So with Trump, when Trump murdered the puppies and forced you to watch, you were 8 or 9 years old. That was your first remembrance of Trump. And had Trump sexually assaulted and tortured you already?
Maybe, but I don't recall. I think what happened, and I'm relatively certain, but I think that was the precursor to him sexually assaulting me.
So
I think that was in an effort to make the experience as brutal as possible for me. That was the same kind of MO that was used with Patricia later on.
Mm-hmm.
So it seemed to be that he would use his imagination as such to try to figure out what way would be the most traumatic, to make the most traumatic experience, to destroy somebody, kind of traumatize somebody to the maximum potential possible.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
So that was the
Good night, Patches.
Good
night, honey.
And then the next higher order of that, and I couldn't tell you exactly how
Thank
much
you
time
for
passed
being
between,
here.
but I would say likely a couple of years, or at least a year later, before the instance with Patricia.
Okay.
Do you want an orange?
And
at
that point, I had already, in my mind,
You peel
I
an
already thought
orange
there's
and then
no
you
way
rub it on your
I'm
face.
going to live through this anyway. They're just going to torture me to death anyway. So I might as well do everything I can to fight back.
Okay. And so with the incident with Patricia, then recapping, they told you to go into another room with Patricia. There was film. They were filming.
No.
There wasn't filming in such a case.
What happened with me and Patricia? My dad, before we got to the party, said, "Hey, there may be somebody you know." I had been trafficked with her previously.
Look
but
into the
she and I
Zorro
were
Ranch.
as close
Okay.
to friends as you could be. We were,
That's in
the same boat, as far
New
as,
Mexico?
our station in life. So we had kind of become friends, and she ran up to
New
me,
Mexico,
and I
right?
can remember she saying, "Hey, come go with me." And I said, "I can't." And my dad said, "No, it's okay. You guys go off and have fun." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You can go just have fun. You're an adult now." And
We'll
I
do a
remember thinking,
dig
in my mind, I was wondering, what
deep dive on
next?
this. This could last all
The
year
only
if
thing
we
that
do
I
it
knew
right.
of, really, of being an adult was my dad. And I knew that he didn't go to these parties and get assaulted. So in my mind, I thought, well, maybe that part of my life is over. But anyway, we left. We wound up going into the farmhouse. We went into the room, not at the behest of anybody else. She wanted to have sex with me because she knew I wouldn't hurt her.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, I wouldn't swear to this part, but I am relatively certain she and I had already made some movies together. Off, not at the farm, but at a shoot.
What was that?
But
Orange peel.
I didn't have sex in a way
Orange
that
peel.
civilized people, because I kind of knew how that felt.
You rub the white
So
part on
it
your
was
face.
a matter of her
Super
kind of
good for your
choosing somebody
skin.
to try to go have sex with, so she wouldn't be placing her life in danger by having sex with one of these rich guys. So we went in and started having sex. This was not in front of anybody. It wasn't filmed that I know of. It was just if we were going to have the opportunity to go have sex with somebody, we were going to go have sex with each other, because that in that instance, neither of us would get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But why?
Hi, T. Okay. Okay, sounds good. All right. I'm glad to see everybody's into it. All right. Well, this is day 1 then. We're starting right now. Okay.
We were in that room after some period of time. The people at that party busted in, 6, 5, 6, 8 maybe people, big people, adults.
You're welcome, Kiwi.
At least one of them had a gun. I think 3 or 4 of them had a gun, to be honest with you. But then they assaulted her with me at gunpoint, and then they killed her in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
And said,
Massive trigger warning, everybody.
Everything the next person that walks in this room, what they
Trigger
Do you
warning.
think they knew Trump was going to walk in the room? Do you think they had premeditated that Trump would walk in the room next?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that was just part of the experience for him, to traumatize me. And for all I know, he was watching through a crack in the wall. I don't know about that.
So like an escalation from the puppies.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Trump would traumatize you first and then sexually assault you.
Doesn't surprise
The
me,
incident was that
honestly.
Trump murdered the puppies and forced you to watch. And then the incident when Trump had Patricia killed.
Yes.
Okay. And then that's the incident with Patricia we spoke about, where Trump assaulted you, tortured you, and then Trump wanted you to engage in sex with Trump, and you found the tent peg and got a condom on, and then inserted the condom in Trump's anus, just
and kicked it as hard as I could.
And kicked as hard as you
yes.
could. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And my plan was to continue hurting him to death.
Trigger
But as soon as I
warning.
did
Trigger
that,
warning.
He started screaming, and those same people busted back in. So.
And then what occurred?
My dad was at that party, obviously not in that room. It was just these other people, but we did not get assaulted or anything at that party. They didn't know what to do at that point. So we left. We didn't get beat up. I didn't get further assaulted by anyone, but some period of time passed, a week, 2 weeks, 6 weeks. I couldn't tell you how much time, but I can remember my dad saying, "We've got to go face the music." So,
Wow.
I can remember him talking to me like I had done something wrong. He said, "You can't do that to the rich people. You're going to get beat up." Is basically what he said. He said, "You've been beat up before. It's going to be just like that. You'll be okay." But I can remember him saying, "You can't fight back, or they'll kill us both."
Mm-hmm. And that's when you were taken to the farm, and then 6 or 8, maybe 10 different groups assaulted and tortured you.
This is like, it was at least
Wow.
3 or 4 or 5 people at a time in these groups.
Absolutely brutal. Good to see you too, honey. Glad you're here. This is brutal. Everybody just take a breather for a minute. This is brutal. Look at that. The phone's ringing. That's freaking creepy. That's really creepy. That is really creepy. Oh my God. Epstein's phone's ringing as we're watching. I'm sure the video person right now is like, what the hell is going on? I would be scared. I get really bad vibes from these videos. Evil stuff happened there. That's crazy. Wow.
Because I think
What a fascinating job.
I had done what I did to Trump. They knew that I was kind of in a homicidal type of rage. So they made sure to have enough people that they felt safe. Because also my dad could fight too, and he was there.
Mm-hmm.
So they had in each of these little groups, they had enough that they felt that I'm sure that they could overpower both me and my dad. Because my dad's no slouch either. I could fight like a little Wolverine even as a child because of how I came up. Well, he was a bare knuckle boxer and a tough man type of dude, so he could fight too. But it was like they took us from station to station, you know, to I don't know, just to increase the horror of it. I guess I really
premeditated. Seems like premeditated.
Yeah,
like,
well,
what I know of Trump is that Trump would attempt to premeditatedly stage such a scene to terrorize you retaliatorily.
Yes.
So
he wasn't there at that. I would assume that it was a close enough time frame that he was still recovering.
Yeah.
But I can remember that even my dad having the conversation with the people because of the level that they had kind of taken it to get me to that homicidal rage. I remember my dad arguing that it was unreasonable.
In Paris. Okay, thanks, Diva.
This is just what happens when you push somebody far enough, you know?
So then
we will find the files.
So then they took you to different locations, several groups at a time, tortured and assaulted you.
So over the next however long it takes us, it might take a year. We will go over everything. Okay, including like all the documents and everything. We'll do a deep dive into all of it. Okay? I think that sounds good. Then continue to do readings and positivity stuff on the side to keep us from getting affected by watching this.
Sexually, and then at one point you said they hosed you off with a garden hose. And what did they say again to your dad? That you were dirty and to hose you off?
Oh, they said he's disgusting. Just take a garden hose to him or something. And somebody went inside the house and got a bar of soap. And I remember they threw it at me and hit me in the head. And that they all thought that was funny. And I was struggling because I had to get the soap from the ground. And I can remember being hit to the point where I was just having trouble grasping the soap. Not just from a standpoint of like being able to see it, but like from the coordination aspect of it. Mm-hmm. Just because I've been hitting the head and body and everything so much that I even had difficulty in getting the soap. So they made me like take a shower while they stood there with the garden hose just hosing me off. And I can remember getting really cold from that.
Okay.
But then it wasn't over. That would have been about the halfway point.
Sounds good, Doodle. Okay.
Sexual assault followed by beatings.
You're welcome, honey.
Cases.
Yes. Some people didn't even want to sexually assault me. Some people just wanted to beat the hell out of me. So not all of them. They got to do whatever they wanted. But with all of the different people, it included some sort of physical assault, physical and sexual assault, or just the physical. There weren't any instances of just sexual assault. It was around causing damage to me. And towards the end of it, I can remember my dad saying he can't take anymore. He's going to die.
Yeah.
And, you know, at that point he had like drugged me because I couldn't walk or anything to one of the groups. And they said, if he can't take anymore, it's not over with. You're going to have to take the rest of it. And he said, fine, because I'm going to go to jail and kill him. So it's always
fascinating looking at what people have in their homes.
I remember my dad kind of carried
especially
me away
criminals like this.
Like group of
it's
people.
Fascinating.
And I think he had to change clothes or something for me. And
I know exactly, Francis.
While,
I know.
Like 30 minutes or something, but I finally got clear enough. I could breathe and everything.
Without protection. Yep, that's true.
I walked out of there with help.
And then
that's true. That's true, Diva.
Andy Biggs, or Andy Biggs tortured you?
Not immediately thereafter, but another week or two passed. Maybe a month, week, two, whatever. Nothing was healed as far as my most of my bruises and stuff like that from the first farm incident by the time I went to Andy Biggs. And of the physical assaults,
What a job.
he kept beating me until my ribs were broken. I was turning blue, convulsing. If you get beaten enough, as you try to breathe, you just kind of click. I can't describe it any other way than that. It's not even a wheeze or anything, but
Look at all the
your
shoes.
like diaphragm or something locks up and you just start clicking.
Mm-hmm.
Some people call that like the death rattle.
Yeah.
But that's the point to which he beat me, to where when I would try to breathe, my chest would just make this clicking noise.
Cars. Look at the cars.
I
Oh
don't
my
know how to
God.
describe it
No,
any
you
other way,
described
but
that extremely clearly. Like I say, I appreciate your forthrightness. Now, you and I had spoken, and you said that your dad told you that after the incident with Andy Biggs, that your dad said that
They're
Trump
matching
and Trump's
cars.
associates said that whatever debt they thought you owed because you fought back against Trump, that the debt was paid, and the debt was
Yes.
you getting raped and beaten brutally by all those individuals,
Yes.
including Andy Biggs.
yes.
And then you said that you don't recall attending any more parties after that, and you weren't sure if it was because they thought you aged out because you were 12 or 13, or whether they just thought you were too much of a hassle, like they could get caught.
I think
It's
all of that
reverse.
came into play, yes.
Or they might wanted to behave vindictive towards your dad about whatever money your dad was earning. Do you think that?
I couldn't see any of that part of it. I'm not
Wow.
sure like the financial arrangements or anything like that. I
Yeah.
can remember that when they sent me to the brothel, they were upset that they didn't make more money. And then I can remember
There's actually carpet on the floor.
they were going to get this big payday from doing the child porn in Tennessee, but they wound up losing money on the deal because they got stiffed by whoever bought the film when it was done, and they had to spend, I think, some money on a lawyer. So it was a net loss for them.
Mm-hmm.
It was something to do with like the film wasn't as long as what they agreed to pay money for, so they didn't make as much, and you know.
But the
I
films.
just remember them being upset.
Okay. And the filming, most of the filming, the parties was all associated with Trump and the Trump Epstein just laying pedophile ring. Different layers of parties.
Yeah, but it's a whole bunch of people. It's just
Yeah.
that from my childhood perspective, what I saw, or what I thought that I saw, was he was the big boss. Donald Trump was the big boss, and then Epstein was like you said, like the manager or something. And then you had lower level people like my dad that kind of went out and found girls or coordinated, at the ground level of things.
Yeah. So in terms of
Even Epstein himself, he just sought out people like my dad that would sell, their adopted child, their actual child, or whatever. So those are the different layers of people.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But that Trump was involved in a
Hi,
lot of
Christy.
planning,
Hi, honey.
micromanaging, filming.
Trigger warning, okay? This is very sensitive stuff.
I know that when I was offered to Trump, the excitement that was in the house from Lynn, particularly, was that this is going to be the big payday. We have made it up to the highest level of this thing, so to speak, because they would sell me at a lower level to people that they knew. Not this is outside of the parties, but obviously they don't have the type of money that these rich folks have, so that wasn't really a big payday, and they were nervous about taking that kind of money because they were expecting this large amount of risk for really little amount of reward, and they were excited to make it to the level of Donald Trump because I think the payday that they were supposed to get was $25,000. It may have been another sum, but that's just the sum that I remember, and that may not sound like a lot, especially today, but for our less standard of living, that would have been a fairly sizable chunk of money.
Palm Beach Police Department property receipt.
You were about 9 to 10 years old, maybe 8 years old, until about 13. And most of the parties, there were only 3 or 4 kids there. Sometimes only you.
Yes.
And it was sort of the different.
And they would almost always have at least one girl there. So I'm sure that the mentality of that would be, to have a boy or a girl to choose from.
Thank you, Mods. I love you guys. Thank you very much.
And there may have been children at these parties that were in attendance that I just didn't see because I was being abused, in like a bedroom of the farmhouse or some other location. And there could have been more people there. I can't really say exactly that. You get kind of just from a standpoint of the experience, you very much just kind of lock onto your surroundings to try to stay alive. You're looking at the person that you're having this encounter with, anything that you could potentially use for a weapon, escape paths and stuff like that. Very much you're in survival mode. So you tend to hyper-focus on just what's immediately around you. So there may have been additional things going on, but I really wasn't paying attention to those.
Okay.
Okay, hit the
Apparently
thumbs up
kids took,
button
like,
for
the
me,
average
please.
age was like
everybody.
9 or 10 years old in some cases. Layers of
All the way up
parties.
to
Hit the
adult
thumbs
drugs
up
are
for
there.
me, please.
So the younger ends is 9, 10, all the way up to
Up, please.
young ladies, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds.
And did you ever see any
We got
kids sexually assault and torture
21
anyone
likes and
else?
44
No,
watching. Please hit the
not that I can
thumbs up
recall,
for me.
And what about Jim Jordan?
No, I remember him from that one instance. I'm not saying that he wasn't at additional, but I only remember him at the one. And I can remember a bunch of people being there, but to be honest with you, the rest of them just kind of melded together. Just a bunch of adults. Kind of a crowd of people. The ones that I focused on.
That's one thing that's weird about his houses. There's all of his houses have tons and tons of books everywhere. Just there's books everywhere.
Ones that I remember are the ones that seared into my brain that this person could kill me next time.
Yeah.
So I need to remember this type of deal, and that's those three.
Yeah. And then Trump during all those years. Now, did you ever see Clarence Thomas more than once, or Lindsey Graham?
Hit the thumbs up, please, everybody.
I have, but I only remembered Lindsey because his mannerisms, particularly when he's not in the public spotlight, are very effeminate.
Yeah.
So that stood out to me, and Clarence stood out to me, and I only remember seeing them at one of those parties before anything happened. So I'm not saying that they were necessarily involved in abuse.
Okay,
They could have been. They
that
could have even
one.
been involved in abuse that included me. I just can't swear to that. But he stood out because of his mannerisms being so effeminate. I believe the people that I was around, my dad and whoever he was talking to at the time, joking and laughing about those mannerisms. And then I remember Clarence because he's a black man. Not only is he a black man, but he's kind of a dark-skinned black man. So in that group of people, he stood out a lot because he's the only black guy there.
Okay. And then in terms of, we talked about transportation, plane, airplane, helicopter, automobile. You said there weren't a lot of
Thank
folks on the
you for hitting
plane.
the thumbs up. I see it going up now. Thank you very much.
Sometimes
Please keep hitting the thumbs up. We got 45 watching. We need 45 likes.
Well, the snuff movies, were any of those shot on the farm that you remember? Or those were, you said, were at different locations?
Those were at different locations.
And how many folks did you see killed in the snuff movies that you saw filmed?
Has this way been undersigned by filmed?
Yeah.
For sure, 100%. I only remember that one.
Yeah.
Now, if they filmed Patricia being shot, that would be two. But the other one was on like what you would think of as a movie set.
Yeah.
Probably just a warehouse, somebody's basement. I couldn't tell you the location, but it wasn't just a handheld, vehicle.
And the court being satisfied of the
I'm going to pause that for a second here.
Yes. And the laws of the state of Florida have been violated in or on premises known as 358 Elborough Road.
Let me give you a number.
To reach the premise desired to be searched, begin in the middle span of the Royal Park Bridge, the middle bridge, and travel east on Royal Palm Way approximately 0.6.
The research of it, search warrant.
County Road. At South County Road, make a right or southbound turn and travel approximately 0.8 of a mile to Elborough Way. At Elborough Way, make a right or westbound turn and travel approximately 1/10 of a mile to the last house on the south side of Elborough, clearly marked street number 358.
Thank you.
The premises desired to be searched is a 2-story single-family residence made of CBS construction. The residence is pink in color with white trim and has a white concrete tile roof. The residence has 2 separate driveway entrances from Elborough paved in large white tile. The easternmost driveway is separated by a large white in color concrete wall with black in color numbers 358 clearly displayed from Elborough and leads to the east side of the residence.
Yeah,
On the
exactly.
east side of the residence, there
You
are
heard
3
700
single
kids
car
too. Okay. All right.
garage
Thank you.
doors, which are white in color.
Thank you, hon.
The entry door also white in color to the south. Each driveway entrance.
Thank you,
has a
Francis.
light blue color call box, which is fixed to the east side of the driveways. The westernmost driveway leads to the north side of the residence to a large white and colored double door on the first floor. The second story of the north side of the residence shows a small walkway with a white and colored metal railway and leads to 3
Who's got
glass
the phone
jalousie style doors. On the
Turn
southeast
it off.
corner of the residence is a single-story structure made of CBS construction and is white in color with a white concrete tile roof. To enter and search the aforedescribed place and premise together with the yard and curtilage thereof, any and all outbuildings and vehicles thereon, and any persons residing therein, and any persons therein.
So they had to read the whole thing to him. The whole thing.
This is a complete description of the residence desired to be searched, including the curtilage attached thereof. Being the premises occupied or under the control of
I don't think
Jeffrey
that's
Epstein,
Epstein
White
standing
County,
there.
12053.
Well, maybe it is. It doesn't really
There is
look
now
like
being
him.
kept in the above described premises certain computers, including electromagnetic, optical,
Maybe that's his manager or
electrochemical,
something.
or
House
other
manager.
high-speed data processing device performing logical, arithmetic, or storage functions. Data storage facilities such as magnetic tape, hard disk, floppy disk, or drum, or CD-ROM, communications facilities directly relating or operating in conjunction with such devices for printing records of data, or records of or data produced in various forms, manuals, documents, or instructional material related to such devices. Computers, personal computers, computer peripherals, modems, computer printers, floppy
Not
disk
there.
drives, hard disk drives, diskettes, tapes, computer printouts, computer software.
I think they rated
computer
all of his
programs,
locations at once, I think.
computer
I might
manuals,
be
and
wrong.
system documentation. Cameras, photographs, negatives, motion pictures, videotapes, magazines, books, and other depictions of minors and sexual activity. Any device or equipment that can be used to transfer images to a computer-readable format. Any written documentation or item containing password or encryption codes. Any notes, ledger, personal phone books, Rolodex, books, and any
Guy standing
form
there is
of
probably
record
going,
data-
I'm in big shit.
of recording data of records and
I'm in
payments,
big shit.
telephone
What did I get
numbers,
myself
names of
into?
girls that frequented the house. Any sexual devices to include, to which was used on witnesses/victims. And any hair, fiber, semen, and any other bodily fluid, which is being kept and used in violation of the laws of the state of Florida, to wit, the laws prohibiting sexual activities with certain minors, second-degree felony, lewd and lascivious molestation, the second-degree felony. Now, therefore, you or either of you are hereby commanded the proper necessary assistance in the name of the state of Florida in the daytime or in the nighttime or on Sunday to forthwith search the said premises herein before specified for the property specified, and if the same or any part of
Crazy, isn't it?
shall be found in said premises, they will
This
authorize
is
the
that
command to seize the same.
they're issuing a search warrant to search Epstein Island.
Before the magistrate or any
This is
court
off the Department of
having jurisdiction
Justice.
of the office,
So the files they released.
and forthwith make return of your doings upon execution of this warrant, which you are hereby commanded to execute as the law directs within 10 days from the date thereof. You are further commanded, in the event that you seize any of the said property herein described, to make up at the time of place and seizure a full, true, itemized list and inventory of all items seized and taken in duplicate, signed by you, and to then and there give and deliver the said duplicate copy thereof to the person from whom possession shall be taken. If taken from the possession of anyone together with the duplicate
Yep.
of the warrant.
No, honest, we're going to go through all of it, but I found a lot of stuff that's actually not redacted. There's quite a bit that's not redacted.
The original of this warrant, together with the original inventory, shall be returned and filed with the clerk of court, as stated above, within 10 days of the issuance of this warrant. Further, any property seized or taken shall be impounded for the use of evidence at any trial or any criminal penal cause growing out.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yeah, we just talked
or
about it,
possession
Nishi.
of said property.
We just heard about it. It's
Signed
nasty.
and sealed this 18th day of October, AD 2005. Judge Laura Johnson of the Circuit Court, 15th Judicial Circuit, in and for Palm Beach County, Florida. Okay, this is your copy. When we are concluded, I will leave a list of what items were taken. Okay. I would ask that you don't answer the telephone. I know that the gentleman had was having a conversation with Mr. Epstein at the time. So I'm sure he's trying to call to find out what's going on. You will be told what was going on as soon as we're done. Okay? Stay somewhere. Just stay local here. Okay. Stay local right here.
Wow. Guy's probably shitting his pants. Okay.
VHS camcorder. It was something on a tripod with lights and things like that. And we were having sex, and somebody walked in and just shot her in the head. And I don't remember her name.
So it's a similar MO as with Patricia.
Yes, but there was no additional assault to me afterwards. But yes, it was similar.
Some of this looks like it might be duplicate.
Other than with Patricia, they busted in. It was however many of them there was, about half a dozen. And I had to stand there and watch, kind of like I had to with the puppies, while they abused her first and then shot her.
Did Patricia say anything to you before Patricia was shot? Do you remember anything? Did Patricia say anything all during the assault?
I can remember her asking to just die. Please just kill me. And I can remember telling Patricia, because this is what Samantha had said to Sarah before Samantha shot her, was, "You're going to come be with me now.
Seen this.
I love you." And then
This is a different agent walking
so I said
through.
the same thing to Patricia.
Mm-hmm.
And then they shot her.
This
There
might
really aren't any
be.
English language words that convey, I'm glad that you found each other, that you found some way that you could find some sort of friendship in such harrowing circumstances. I'm so sad, but I don't.
She was just a sweet, sweet little girl, and that's what these people are. And this world is just not need that.
Hit the thumbs up for me, please, people. We got 12 more to go.
Perpetrators would specifically try to look for
12
children
thumbs
they thought
up,
were really
please.
innocent to torture, like the puppies.
Oh yeah,
like the more innocent, they wanted to torture them more.
Yes, it was about the experience to them didn't seem to be all that sexual in nature. It was about taking a bright little energetic youth and then just destroying that person. Even if not physically necessarily, but psychologically and emotionally, like to the point where they just really were like traumatized for life.
Mm-hmm.
That was what they seemed to enjoy doing. Yeah. And my mother, Mary Riley, was of the exact same personality flaws that those rich people were. And as bad as my dad is, and as far as human beings go, I would say that he's just about a failure in every way. He wasn't even that bad.
Wow.
There was just some semblance of conscience with him. Like, I can remember at that party.
Hi, Sherry.
About breaking down into tears.
Hi, Stella.
Because it was affecting him emotionally to see me take that level of punishment or abuse or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So Lynn was a type of person. She would have smiled and laughed and had a really good time. That's who she was. And that's who Donald Trump is. And that's who Andy is. Those three are like the last level of human as far as depravity goes. I mean,
so I'm pretty sure this is his
watching another person suffer that they didn't
island here. This is the Epstein Island house.
So it would be similar sort of psychopathy as John Wayne Gacy. Trump.
Yeah,
even worse.
I can remember Samantha was the first and maybe only person that Lynn got to kill, and I remember her being upset that she didn't get to be the one to kill her. And that's the last part of what they used as leverage against me. And they had damaged her to the point where she was probably going to die anyway. But Samantha asked me, they threw her in the room, they had cut off one of her toes.
I should do readings on these people that they're mentioning. I should do readings on them.
She was suffering, and she asked me to choke her to death, and I did. And they used that, my parents used that as leverage against me for a period of time, telling me that I was the only one guilty of murder. So in my childhood brain, I thought that made sense, but I just did for Sammy what Sammy kind of did for Sarah.
That's a good idea, eh? Should do readings on
okay, so let's just recap, because that's
these girls that he's talking about.
So Samantha,
see
Sarah,
if I can get
Patricia.
them to talk.
Which one was African American again?
Samantha.
So Samantha was African American, and you were all tortured and trafficked by Trump and the Trump Epstein pedophile ring.
Good night, Francis. Sweet dreams, honey.
Tortured. When Sarah was going to commit suicide, Sarah was afraid to pull the trigger, and Samantha pulled the trigger and so that Samantha could die because Samantha was afraid to commit suicide. Sarah asked Samantha
Sarah asked Samantha.
to pull
Yes.
the trigger. And then when
And
the
I was in
parents,
the room.
yeah,
Sarah had asked for me to be in the room too because she wanted. We cared about each other. Me, Sarah, Samantha, and Patricia were all just like we kind of, Three Musketeers or whatever. We kind of stuck with each other because we did the best we could to look out for one another. But she wanted me to be in the room too because she wanted to die around the people that
definitely
she
give
loved.
it a go.
At that point, it was just me and Samantha. I don't.
and was that at the
I don't
brothel
recall
again,
the
or what was the
Yes.
location? Yeah, okay.
Oversight
That was
Committee
a problem.
website.
So that's when
Okay.
Sarah died, and then they had to clean up.
Yes.
Clean up.
Yeah, the adults came in and took the body, took Sarah's body, but I remember Samantha and I had to use the, the cleaner solutions to clean up all the blood and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And then when
Thank you,
Marie
Diva.
Lynn and William Kyle
Oversight Committee
tortured
website. Okay.
Samantha almost to death, Samantha was going to die, and then
Mhm.
Samantha asked you to kill Samantha, similar that Sarah asked Samantha to kill Sarah.
She showed me how to choke her, and I did.
Okay.
What else did she say?
Samantha,
September. Okay.
she just made me,
Thank you, honey.
She said to save her.
she made me promise to live life with both of them.
Hi, for real.
She made me promise that I would get through it.
Yep, you'll have to rewind, honey.
What do you think Marie Lynn and
It's
William
crazy
would have done to
story.
Samantha
It's
if
crazy.
Samantha hadn't have died?
Crazy
They
story.
just would have kept beating on her until she was dead.
So
They
Samantha,
tortured her for a couple of weeks, probably.
a couple of weeks. So they tortured Samantha during a couple of weeks, and then Samantha asked you to kill Samantha because Samantha didn't want to die getting tortured by William Kyle and Marie Lynn.
Samantha.
She said, I can't go back in there.
Yeah.
I can't do it here.
Yeah.
Because they had us locked in like a little storage room.
Yeah.
And they would pull us out one at a time and torture us and then throw us back in there together. And that last day, they threw her back in there at night.
I'm going to, Carrie. Yep, definitely going to.
I remember when daybreak hit, she said, you've got to do it. I can't.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Basically, she could not face them again, and she knew that shortly after sunrise, my parents would be up.
Yeah.
So, and when I filed the police report, I told them that same thing.
Okay, when we
So
finish
that,
this video here of the
police
house
report
tour,
that
I'm going to end it for the night.
So when
I
you
did that in Lawton, Oklahoma.
in Oklahoma, and so when you talked to the police, you said Samantha had asked you to kill Samantha because Samantha couldn't
Of
they were
course.
getting tortured by your
Of
parents.
course,
anymore.
no problem.
And you told the police, and the police never followed up in Oklahoma.
I filled out a whole report. It was recorded. I gave them the exact same story I'm telling you.
Charles
And I've
from
never heard
JP
back
Morgan Chase Bank
And
have not
I
been
don't know
publicly
why. I don't
released.
know
Okay.
how deep they dug.
Isn't
I
that
don't know
interesting?
why that investigation stalled, but at the conclusion of that, I felt as though law enforcement was not somebody that
So the financials haven't been released.
would do anything. Because I know that the investigations have to be somewhere.
Yeah.
My parents were investigated over and over and over again, particularly my dad, in 3 different states.
Seems like there was some
Four different states.
Yeah.
Because Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, and they tried to kill me in Florida. There was another investigation in Florida that followed them back to Alabama.
yeah.
That's crazy.
So,
I have a question for
there's
you.
no way. Yes.
This is specific regarding with Trump again, and I think it might help in terms of sort of just establishing something. When you kicked the tent peg into Trump's anus, you said it tore Trump's
Trigger
backside
warning.
open, anus open.
Yes.
Trigger
There's a
warning.
lot of gossip discussion about Donald Trump's being incontinent since several years ago. I remember some folks that worked on the television series The Apprentice. They said Donald Trump had to wear diapers, and that
I would bet it's because I ripped him open.
that's what my sense is that some
Trigger
of the gossip has
warning.
been, Trump had used Adderall, Trump was incontinent because of drug use. But I'm wondering, and I do know that the truth, if that's actually the reason Trump wears diapers is a significant part. Do you remember?
I think.
Can you describe what the injuries look like?
Ugh. I don't think
Do
we
you
want
remember
to.
enough to describe.
I remember the scream that he let out when I kicked him, and I remember backing away, and it was I can't remember exactly what it looked like, but it wasn't just that he was hurt. He started, while he was screaming, like his entire body was in almost like a horseshoe, where he was just vibrating or convulsing while he was just screaming at the. I remember his reaction being so
That's crazy
loud that it scared me, and I kind of backed away. But what the injury itself looked like, I can't really describe that, because in my mind, I thought that he was going to die after.
Mm-hmm.
So I got as far away as I could, like in the corner, and
Okay. We're going to leave it right there. That was definitely a deep dive on our very first session on all of this crazy stuff. So sad. I hope this guy's telling the truth, and I hope that justice comes from all of this. And yeah, we all know it probably won't happen, but you never know, right? We can be hopeful that positive comes from this, and people that need help get the help they need. So, welcome to our first dive into the Epstein, Riley, everything situation. We're going to start covering this. Everybody decided tonight. If it takes us a year to go through everything, then that's what we're going to do. So, yeah. Yeah, for real. All right, guys. I love you all. Have a good night. Go to bed, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Those of you watching the replay, remember, trigger warning watching this is brutal stuff. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay.